Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Very warm welcome to this Monday, 6th June 2022 morning Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam discussion. Today we are reading from Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 1, Text 9. The Canto 2 is entitled The Cosmic Manifestation. Before we discuss on this verse, let's sing Jai Radha Madhav. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopijana Vallabha Girivara Dhari Gopijana Vallabha Girivara Dhari Yashodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jai Radha Govinda Radha Govinda Radha Govinda Shri Radhe Jai Radha Govinda Radha Govinda Radha Govinda Shri Radhe Jai Nitai Sachinandana Gaura Hari Nitai Sachinandana Gaura Hari Jaya Nitai Sachinandana Gaura Hari Nitai Sachinandana Gaura Hari Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada. Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nittai Gaura Hari Bol, Nittai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nittai Gaura Hari Bol. जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य स्तोत्र शतश्री श्रीमद इस डिवाइन ग्रेस शिला से भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी प्रभुपाद की जय। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। नामाचार्य शिला हरिदास ठाकुर की जय। प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद की जय। श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरि गोवर्धन की जय। वृंदावन धाम की जय। मथुरा धाम की जय। जगन्नाथपुरी धाम की जय। मायापुर धाम की जय। गंगा माई की जय। यमुना माई की जय। तुलसी देवी की जय। भक्ति देवी की जय। सामवेद भक्तवृंद की जय। All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories to Sri Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine. Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Sarvam Shri Krishnarpanastu Krishne Madhurastu. Hare Krishna. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Reading from Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 1, Text 9. Pariniṣṭhitopi nairguṇya uttama-śloka-līlayā gṛhīta-cetā rājarṣe ākhyānaṁ adhītavān. Pariniṣṭhitopi nairguṇya uttama-śloka-līlayā gṛhīta-cetā rājarṣe ākhyānaṁ adhītavān. Pariniṣṭhitopi nairguṇya uttama-śloka-līlayā gṛhīta-cetā rājarṣe ākhyānaṁ adhītavān. Translation. O saintly king, I was certainly situated perfectly in transcendence, yet I was still attracted by the delineation of the pastimes of the Lord, who is described by enlightened verses. Purport by His Divine Grace Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada ki Jai. The Absolute Truth is realized at the first instance as the impersonal Brahman, by philosophical speculation, and later as a super soul by further progress of transcendental knowledge. But if by the grace of the Lord an impersonalist is enlightened by the superior statements of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, he is also converted into a transcendental devotee of the personality of Godhead. With a poor fund of knowledge, we cannot adjust to the idea of the personality of the Absolute Truth, and therefore the person activities of the Lord are deplored by the less intelligent impersonalists. But reasons and arguments, together with the transcendental process of approaching the Absolute Truth, help even the staunch impersonalist to become attracted by the personal activities of the Lord. A person like Shukadeva Goswami cannot be attracted by any mundane activity. But when such a devotee is convinced by a superior method, he is certainly attracted by the transcendental activities of the Lord. The Lord is transcendental, as are his activities. He is neither inactive nor impersonal. Before we discuss on this verse, let us offer some prayers. Om Jnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana-shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Nama Shreshtam Manamapi Shachiputram Matra Swarupam Rupam Tasyagrajam Murupurim Madhurim Goshthavati Radha Kundam Girivaram Maho Radhika Madhavasham Prapto Yasya Pratita Krupaya Shri Gurum Tam Natosmi Vandeham Shri Gurum Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha Adadandastranam dante idam yachaha punaha punaha Shriman Rupa Padambhojam Dhulisyam Janma Janmani. He Krishna Karuna Sindho Deenabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Taptakanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shrivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 1, Text 9. Pariniṣṭhitopi nairguṇya uttama-śloka-līlayā gṛhīta-cetā rājarṣe ākhyānaṁ yad adhītavān. O saintly king, I was certainly situated perfectly in transcendence, yet I was still attracted by the delineation of the pastimes of the Lord, who is described by enlightened verses. This is the verse spoken by Srila Shukadeva Goswami to Parikshit Maharaj. We see in the previous verses we have seen that previous chapter how Maharaj Parikshit was cursed by Shringi Rishi, who was the son of Shamika Rishi. And the reason Shringi Rishi cursed Parikshit Maharaj was because Parikshit Maharaj was in the forest and he was thirsty and he was looking for water. And when he saw a hermitage, he went there and he saw a sage there. And he asked the sage requested the sage to get him water. And then the sage was in full meditation, and because of that, he did not hear or see Parikshit Maharaj. And Parikshit Maharaj put a dead snake on Shamika Rishi. And when the son of Shamika Rishi, Shringi Rishi, heard about this, he cursed Parikshit Maharaj that you will die in 7 days with a bite of a snake called Takshak. So then Maharaj Parikshit renounces his kingdom and he goes to the banks of Ganga, river Ganga, and he wants to understand what he should be doing for his last 7 days of his life. So we see that the sages from around the universe come there, and Srila Shukadeva Goswami also reaches there. And Srila Shukadeva Goswami is the son of Vedavyas. So Vedesha sarver ahameva vedyam vedyanta krit vedyanta vedeva cha aham. So Krishna mentions in Bhagavad Gita that of everything in Vedas, I am to be known. And Vedavyas is the literary incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna. So Vedavyas has compiled all the Vedas, Upanishads, and we see in one of the chapters in Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, Vedavyas, after doing all that, still does not feel satisfied. Bhakti yogena manase samyak pranahite amale apashyatam purusham purnam mayam chatad apashrayam. So this is mentioned about Vedavyas. When he was meditating on that, Bhakti yogena manase samyak pranahite amale. So when Vedavyas was meditating fully on the Supreme Personality of Godhead, with full of loving devotional service, he saw the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Apashyatam purusham purnam mayam chatat apashrayam. And he also saw that the energy of the Lord was subservient to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Mayam chatat apashrayam. And then later we see how Vedavyas understands the reason for his dissatisfaction. Even after compiling so much Vedas and doing so many spiritual, writing so many spiritual literature, we see that Narada Muni also comes there. And then this realization comes through the instruction of Narada Muni that Kim va bhagavata dharma na prayena nirupita priya paramahamsanam ta eva hi achyuta priya. So under the direction of his spiritual master Narada Muni, Vedavyas realizes that the cause of his dissatisfaction is because he did not delineate the pastimes of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna. So, kim va bhagavata dharma na prayena nirupita. So, he then understands that the cause of dissatisfaction was because Bhagavata Dharma, this Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, where the description of the pastimes of Krishna and his devotees are described, that was not, Srila Vyasadeva had not written any particular scripture that went into the details of the pastimes of Krishna and his devotees, pure devotees. Kimva Bhagavata Dharma na prayena nirupita priya paramahamsanam. So this Bhagavata Dharma, or the description of the transcendental divine pastimes of Krishna and his pure devotees, is very, very dear to the Paramahamsa. So the Paramahamsa are the supreme swans. Parama is supreme and Hamsa is swans. So what is the quality of a swan? It is said that the swan can, if a milk is given, the swan can take just the part of the milk and it can take off the water out of it. So that is called Saragrahi. Hamsa is a Saragrahi. What does Saragrahi mean? Sara means something that is the most important matter, the summary. So the summary is called Sara, and Agrahi is one who wants. So as we have said in Krishna's statement in Bhagavad Gita, Vedesha sarver ahameva vedyo, Vedanta krit Vedanta vedeva chaham. So Krishna mentions in Bhagavad Gita that of everything in Vedas, I am to be known. Vedesha sarve ahameva vedyo. So, if someone studies the Vedas for the whole life, but in the end, if one is not understanding what is the goal of Vedas, then unfortunately the study of Vedas has gone waste. So that is what this was. Dharma swanushtita pumsam vishvakshena kathasaya notpadayet ratim yadi shrama eva hi kevalam. So it is mentioned in Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam that one might be executing one's religious activities in a very nice way. Swa anushtita pumsam. What dharma, the religious principles, one might be executing very nicely, but vishvakshena kathasaya notpadayet ratim yadi. But if one is not developing attachment, rati, to hear about the pastimes of Krishna. What do we mean by pastimes of Krishna? The transcendental divine activities of Krishna and his words, which is in Śrīmad-Bhāgavad-gītā. So if one is not developing attachment to hear about that, then shrama eva hi kevalam. It is mentioned in the scripture in Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam that then if it is just a hard labor. So one might Shreya, of course, there is Krishna actually mentions in Bhagavad Gita, Shreyan Swadharma Vigno, Paradharma Swanushtithat, Paradharma Swadharma Nidhanam Shreya, Paradharma Bhayava. So Krishna mentions in Bhagavad Gita that executing one's own duties in a so one might have inclinations towards reading transcendental scriptures and talking about transcendental scriptures. So if one has got that inclination, then one is a state of Brahmana. If one has got some other administrative kind of interest, then one is a Kshatriya. If one has got the interest of doing business, then one is in the quality of a Vaishya. And if one has got the qualities of serving through different kinds of activities, then one is in the quality of a Shudra. So all these are Varnashrama Charavata Purushena Parapuman Vishnur Aradhyate Pantha Nanat Tatosha Karana. So it is mentioned in scriptures that the Varna and Ashrama, this Varna is this Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra, and Ashrama is Brahmachari, Grahastha, Vanaprastha, and Sannyas. So Brahmachari is the ashrama or the state of existence when one is trying to understand Brahman. What is Brahman? So Brahman, the understanding of Brahman, so Srila Prabhupada actually mentions in the purport as well, the absolute truth is realized at the first instance as the impersonal Brahman by philosophical speculation and later told by further progress of transcendental knowledge. So Srila Prabhupada mentions that in the purport. And this is the so vadanti tat tattvavidas tattvam yadjnanam advayam brahmeti paramatmeti bhagavan iti shabdyate. This is mentioned in Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, where it is said that the tattvavitas, so one who knows the actual truth, they know the Supreme Personality of Godhead in three different phases. So one is brahmeti. So what is the understanding of Brahman is that is the starting stage of realization. Brahmano hi pratishtaham amritasya vyayasya cha shashvatasya cha dharmasya sukhasya ekantikasya cha. So Krishna mentions in Bhagavad Gita that the impersonal Brahman is based on him. It is based on the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Pratishta aham. So I have, under me, the Brahman is established, Krishna says. And what is Brahman? Brahmano hi pratishtaham amritasya avyayasya cha. So it is, so understanding of Brahman is Amrita. So what does Amrita mean? Amrita means our understanding that we are eternal. Mrita means when the body is dying. Whatever is dying is mrita, and whatever exists eternally is amrita. Amritasya avyayasya cha. So what never dies and what exists eternally. Shashvatasya cha dharmasya sukhasya aikantikasya cha. So Krishna mentions in Bhagavad Gita. So this is we see in Sri Ishopanishad as well. Hiranmayena patrena satyasya apahita mukham tattvam pusham apavrunu satya dharmaya drishtaye. So the devotee, pure devotee of Krishna, is praying Krishna to remove the glaring effulgence. Hiranmayena patrena satyasya apahita mukham. So please remove your glaring effulgence, Krishna, so that we can see your transcendental, divine, beautiful face. So this is the prayer in Sri Ishopanishad. And the Brahman is that glaring effulgence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And that is the first realization. And in that realization, that is an impersonal realization, because it is the glaring rays of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. What do we see in a ray? When the light happens, the light is impersonal. It does not have a personality. So this is the Brahman realization. And in the Brahman realization, I am Atma Brahma. So this is a Veda Vakya. Aham Brahmasmi. This is another Veda Vakya. So the understanding of that realization is that in the Brahman state, one is more in the Sayujya Mukti state. The Sayujya is when one is becoming one with the glaring, with the effulgence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And so that is the Brahman realization. Then the Paramatma realization is the understanding that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is locally present in the heart of all the living entities. Sarvasya chaham hridi sannivishta matta smritir jnanam apohanam cha. So Krishna mentions in Bhagavad Gita that I am the heart of all the living entities, and from me comes smriti, jnanam, and apohanam. From me comes remembrance, knowledge, and forgetfulness. So all the three. So if some living entity wants to forget the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna actually allows that. Krishna gives that freedom to the living entity to forget him. So that even though actually the Supreme Personality of Godhead loves everyone equally, samoham sarva bhuteshu name dveshyos tina priya ye bhajanti tu me bhaktya mai te teshu chapya. So Krishna mentions in Bhagavad Gita that I am equal to all the living entities, and there is no one very dear. Name dveshyosti na priya. I neither am antagonistic to someone, nor I am very close to anyone. But Krishna says in the next line, ye bhajanti tume bhaktya mai te teshu chapya. So whatever way someone is rendering the loving devotional service to me, they ye yatha mam prapadyante tam sthataiva bhajamyaham. Mama vartamanu vartante manushya partha sarvasha. So this is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is reciprocating according to the desire of the living entity. So if the desire of the living entity is to forget Krishna, Krishna allows that. And if the desire of the living entity is to remember Krishna, Krishna allows that too. And what is the so when one is remembering the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one is in that transcendental state of existence, which is totally opposite to the existence in the material realm. And this is what we see in this particular verse. The first lines in this verse is pariniṣṭhito nairguṇya. So Srila Shukadeva Goswami is saying that nirguna. So he was established in tribhir gunamair bhaver ebhi sarvamidam jagat mohitam nabhi janati mamebhya paramavyayam. Krishna mentions in Bhagavad Gita. So this guna, it's very important to understand what is nairguṇya. So Srila Shukadeva Goswami is mentioning that he was established in nairguṇya. So what is nairguṇya? Nairguṇya means without any qualities, without any material qualities. That is the. So there are two ways of understanding this nairguṇya. One is the understanding in the impersonal way. The understanding in the impersonal way is that uh, because it is impersonal philosophy, that understanding states that when there is gunas, when there is tamoguna, rajoguna, and sattvaguna. So when there is mode of ignorance, mode of passion, and mode of goodness, in the material world, one is in that mode, and then when one is under the influence of those modes, one is in the material state of existence. But then these emotions, which are seen in the material realm, are also seen in the spiritual realm. So, this whatever in the impersonal philosophy, what happens is the concept is that because uh, because all these emotions and experiences that we experience in the matter is false. It's false in the sense that it is temporary. Na sato vidyate bhavo na bhavo vidyate sata. Ubhayor api drishtantastvanayos tattvadarshimi. So Krishna mentions in Bhagavad Gita that whatever is constantly changing is not enduring, and whatever is eternal is always existing. It is enduring. So the seers of the truth know that there are these two categories. One category is this which we actually see only through the matter. So matter can be perceived only through matter. What is the meaning of this? The meaning of this is that I got a material eye, and because I got a material eye, I can perceive all the material things that are existing in the matter. But if I want to see something that is spirit, can I see it with the material eye? No, I cannot see spirit with the material eye. To see spirit, I should have spiritual eyes. And what is spiritual eye? The spiritual eye is the understanding of that that Ishvara Sarva Bhutanam, as Hrideshe Arjuna Tishtati, Brahmayan Sarva Bhutani Yantra Rodani Maya. That is the spiritual eye. To see that that all this is going on. My whole experience of my life is based on consciousness. Right? Be a spiritually realized person to understand that it is consciousness that is pervading everywhere. There is consciousness in me, because of which I am able to move. I'm able to breathe. My heart is beating and everything is happening. I'm able to talk. I'm able to hear. So what is the basic reason that I am able to do all the activities? Because there is consciousness in me. If the consciousness goes away from my body is dead. So this basic understanding is the beginning of spiritual life. When one understands that that I am originally the consciousness, which is animating my existence. So that realization, that is Brahman realization. When one understands that that it is the consciousness because of which I am able to perceive everything, and it is the consciousness in other living entity because of which they are also able to perceive me. So what is a common ingredient across the whole existence? It is consciousness. Sarva bhuteshu yenekam bhavam avyayam ikshate avibhaktam vibhakteshu tadjnanam viddhi satvikam. So Krishna mentions in Bhagavad Gita, and this is the understanding of, this is nairguṇya. Pariniṣṭhito nairguṇya is this sarva bhuteshu. So what we had said about that avibhaktam vibhakteshu tadjnanam viddhi satvikam. So when one sees that actually there is no division that is existing between the living entities. But this is the impersonal realization. The impersonal realization. Why there is no division existing? Because it is only consciousness that exists. Nothing else exists really. If we look at it very clearly, the only thing that exists is consciousness. Nothing else is existing really. Because the consciousness is in me, I am able to perceive and do everything. And because there is consciousness in other people, they are able to perceive and they are able to do everything. In living entities, in plants, this is sarva yunishu kaunteya murteya sambhavantiya tasam brahma mahadionir aham bija pragapita. So Krishna mentions in Bhagavad Gita that I am the seed-giving father and the material nature is the mother. So this seed, what is the seed? The seed is that consciousness. The consciousness is what is animating. So bhumirapa analo vayu khammana buddhirevacha ahankara nityam me bhinna prakrtirashada apareyam itastvanyam vidhime prakritim param jiva bhutam mahabaho yayedam dharete jagat. So there are these 8 material energies of the Lord, which is the earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence, and false ego. And then Krishna says there is something superior. Aparayam itastvanyam vidhime prakritim param. So which is the superior energy, para prakriti. So there is apara prakriti and para prakriti. What is it? Jiva bhutam, the living entities, mahabhav, yayedam dharete jagat. So this nairguṇya, this nairguṇya is the understanding of our original nature, which is na jayate mriyate va kadachit nayam bhutva bhavitavān bhuya ajo nityam shashvatoyam purano na hanyate hanyamani sharire. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita that na jayate na mriyate. So there was never a point in time when we did not exist. Natva evaham jatunasam natvam neme janadipa na chaiva na bhavishyama sarve vayata param. As Krishna says that there was never a time in the past when myself, O you Arjuna, and all these kings did not exist, and there will be never a time in the future when they will not exist. Presently we know we are existing. So when this is very clearly understood, that is the Brahman realization. The second Paramatma realization is upadrashta anumanta cha bharta bhokta maheshwara paramatmiti cha apyukto dehesmin purushah para. So as Krishna mentions in Bhagavad Gita, the super soul is present, in the hearts of all the living entities, and the super soul is overseeing everything, and then is giving the permission. So as we had mentioned, that if some living entity wants to forget the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna gives that person, that living entity, all the opportunities to forget him. And if someone wants to remember Krishna, Krishna gives the person or the living entity all the opportunities to remember him. So this is Paramatma. And then Bhagavan. Bhagavan is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This realization is Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam. Iti chamsha kala pumsa Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam. Indradi vyakulam lokam mradayanti yuge yuge. This is mentioned in Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, where all the incarnations of the Supreme Personality of Godhead are mentioned, and then it is said in this verse that Krishna is the Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam. Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And what is Bhagavan? Aishwaryasya samagrasya viryasya yashasa shriya jnana vairagya sanna iti bhagam sanna bhaga iti gana. So this is mentioned by Parashara Muni, who is the father of Vedavyas. So that is grandfather of Shukadeva Goswami, who is saying this verse. So Parashara Muni is giving the definition of what is Bhagavan, the possessor of all the fortune, Bhaga, Bhagya. So Aishwaryasya Samagrasya. So the Supreme Personality of Godhead has got full opulence. Viryasya, he has got full strength. Yasha, he has got full fame. Shriya, he has got total beauty. Jnana, he has got total knowledge. And Vairagya, he has got total renunciation. So one who has got all of these 6 qualities, Shad Aishwarya Purna Bhagavan. So all these 6 transcendental divine qualities in full. That is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And this is we can come to the next line of this verse, which is uttama-śloka-līlayā. So Srila Shukadeva Goswami is saying that he was established in nairguṇya. He was established in the Brahman realization. So when one has got full humility and one is established in Brahman realization, then automatically one will go to the stage of Paramatma and Bhagavan. And that is what has happened in Srila Shukadeva Goswami's case. So he was fully in that Brahman realized stage, and then he heard about uttama-śloka-līlayā. Idham hi pumsa tapasa shrutasya va sviktasya suktasya cha buddhiratayo avichyuta artha kavibhir nirupita yad uttama-śloka gunanuvarnanam. So this uttama-śloka, so Srila Narada Muni actually mentions in Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, he mentions that whatever activities one is doing, tapasa shrutasya va sviktasya suktasya cha buddhiratayo avichyuta artha kavibhir nirupita yad uttama-śloka gunanuvarnanam. So whatever activities one is doing through mind, through intelligence, what has to be done? Uttama-śloka gunanuvarnanam. What does uttama-śloka mean? The shloka means the verses, and uttama means that which is transcendental, which is transcending the modes of material nature. So there is this word nairguṇya and there is this word uttama, and both are coming side by side in this verse, and both meanings are very similar. So nairguṇya is one is transcending the modes of without any guna. Nairguṇya means without any guna. So what is the guna? The three modes of material nature: mode of goodness, passion, and ignorance. And what is uttama? Udgata-tama. One who is transcending the modes. Tama is the mode of ignorance, but then the tama is also indicating the other modes there. So uttama-śloka means those divine transcendental verses that are there in Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. And Krishna is described through those uttama-śloka. Through those transcendental divine verses, the Supreme Personality of Godhead is personally present in those divine verses, in these verses of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. So Srila Shukadeva Goswami is saying that he was established in Brahman, and then he heard about uttama-śloka-līlayā, about the pastimes of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Gṛhīta-cetā rājarṣe. So then his mind became attracted to the divine pastimes of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And this is what that beautiful verse, Atma Ramascha Munayo, Nigranthapi Urukrame, Kurvanti Ahetukim Bhaktim Itham Bhuta Guno Hari. This is that verse that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu described in 64 different ways. And that verse, Atma Ramascha Munayo, is describing this particular verse of Sri Shukadeva Goswami. That in that verse it is mentioned that one who is fully absorbed in the bliss of Brahman, that is Atma Rama. The Atma Rama is person who is not who does not need a material attraction to be happy. The Atma Rama is a person who is blissful within. So that person does not need anything external to be happy. There is nothing external that person needs. Vishaya vinivartante niraharasya deina rasavarjam rasopyasya param drishtva nivartade. So that is what is the state of Atma Rama, param drishtva. So that person is always in that state of understanding one's original transcendental nature, which is part and parcel of Krishna. Mamai vamsho jiva loke jiva bhuta sanātana. Krishna says that all the living entities are my eternal part and parcels. Manaha shashtani indriyani prakriti sthani karshati. When one is identifies oneself immediately with the mind and the five senses, then there is struggle in the material world. Otherwise, there is no struggle. The struggle happens when there is identification with a, then there is relationship, material relationship. Then when there is material relationship, there is this all this. Sometimes the material relationships will be nice, sometimes it will not be nice, and then there is all these different trials and tribulations that happen in the material existence. So a person who is Atma Rama, who is enjoying within uh, the real bliss within, Atma Ramasya Munya Nigranthāpi Urukrame. So such a person has Urukrama. Urukrama is that those activities that are really binding one to the material world, the fruitive activities. So such a person has taken off the knots of fruitive activities. That is Atma Rama. So they are both interrelated. So when one is so there is one particular verse in Bhagavad Gita where Krishna says that such a person does not have any duties really. So when one is in that state of tasya karyam na vidyate. So Krishna mentions so this when one has got this bliss within. When one is just submerged in the bliss within, there is no fruitive activities that that person will be doing. Because why is a fruitive activity done in the first place? The fruitive activity is done because one thinks that I will do this activity and I will get something back in return and I'll enjoy my senses with whatever I get back in return. That is fruitive activity. But if the person does not have anything to do with external enjoyment, then what will such a person do with fruitive activity? Nothing. Fruitive activity does not. Vihaya kaman ya sarvan pumam sharati nispraha nirmamo nirahankara. So Krishna mentions in Bhagavad Gita about the qualities of such a person. Nirmama nirahankara. So such a person, because the person knows that I am eternally part and parcel of Krishna, there is no mama and ahankara. What does that mean? That this is mine. Aham mameti. Pumsasri mithuni bhava metam tayor mitho hridaya granti ahor ato gṛhīta-cetā sutapta vittar janasya mohoyam aham mameti. So this aham mameti, this is I am this body and everything related to my body is mine. So this is the state of material existence. So in the spiritual existence, the understanding is that I am eternal part and parcel of Krishna. So everything belongs to the Lord. Bhoktaram yagyatapasam sarvaloka mahesharam suhridam sarvabhutanam yatva mam shantim pruchati. So when one knows that Krishna is actually the actual enjoyer, Bhoktaram yagya and tapasa, of all the austerities and all the sacrifices that one does. Krishna is the actual enjoyer. Sarva Loka Maheshwaram. And Krishna is the actual proprietor of all the universes. Suhridam Sarva Bhutana. And Krishna is the best friend of all the living entities. If one knows these three things, Gyatva Mam Shanti Mruchati. So Krishna says that such a person gets the real peace. So that is the state of Atma Rama. So Atma Rama, when a person who is fully engrossed in the bliss within, knows that Krishna is the actual proprietor. So they have nothing to do with the fruitive activities. Nigranthāpi urukrame. Then what does one do then? If one is not doing fruitive activities, what does one do? Nigranthāpi urukrame. Kurvanti ahaitukam bhaktim. What one does is one does costless, loving devotional service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Ahaituki. Ahaituki apratihata yayatma suprasidati. Savai pumsam paro dharmo yato bhaktir adhokshaji. So that is the supreme religious activity. What is supreme religious activity? Yato bhaktir adhokshaji. That which is loving devotional service to whom adha krita akshaja, one who cannot be seen by the blunt material eyes. So how does one see the Supreme Personality of Godhead? Premanjana churita bhakti vilochanena. Santa sadaiva hridayeshu vilokan. When one anoints one's eyes with the salve of love for the Supreme Personality of Godhead, then one sees the Lord within the heart always. Not only in the heart, everywhere. Yumam pashyati sarvatra. Sarvam cha me pashyati tasyaham na pranashyami sacha me na pranashyami. So Krishna says that one who sees me in everything and everything in me, such a person is never lost to me, and I am also never lost to such a person. Sadhavo hridayam mahyam sadhunam hridayam toham madanya tena janati naham tebhyo managavi. So Krishna says that I am in the heart of the pure devotees, and the pure devotees are in my heart. It doesn't mean that Krishna is not in the heart of non-devotees. Krishna, as we said, as Paramatma, Krishna is present in the heart of all the living entities. But again, ye bhajanti tu me bhaktya mahite darshachapya. So sadhunam hridayam toham madanya tena janati. So for a sadhu, they or a pure devotee of Krishna like Srila Shukadeva Goswami, they do not know anything other than Krishna. Their only thought is for Krishna and about Krishna. And therefore, Krishna also does not know anything other than the devotees. Yeme bhakta jana partha nime bhakta state jana mad bhaktanam chaye bhakta time bhakta tamomata. So Krishna actually says that who are my devotees are not actually my devotees, but the devotee of my devotee is actually my devotee, real devotee. So this is a transcendental position of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. His prerogative is more towards his devotees than towards himself. That is a transcendental position. Kaunteya pratijanihi name bhakta pranashyati. Kshipram bhavati dharmatma. So Krishna says to Arjuna that, "O Arjuna, you declare it on my behalf that my devotee shall never perish." You declare it on my behalf. Because if Krishna is declaring, promising something, he can sometimes break his own promise for his devotees. But if a devotee is declaring on behalf of Krishna, it is guaranteed that that promise will never be broken. So we see in the Battle of Kurukshetra, Srila Prabhupada gives this example many times. So Krishna actually promises that he will not take up a weapon. He will be the charioteer of Arjuna, but he will never take up a weapon. But when Bhishma wants Krishna to break his promise, so he fights ferociously. One day because he just wants to, because he's fighting on behalf of Duryodhana, so he's doing his duty that way. And then when he's so ferocious, Krishna takes the wheel of a chariot and he stands in front of Bhishma Dev. So even though the wheel of chariot is not an actual weapon, but he did take it as a weapon in his hand. So indirectly he broke the promise, not directly. So this is for the devotee, for Bhishma Dev, pure devotee. So similarly, so therefore Krishna says in that particular verse that, "O son of Kunti, O Arjuna, you declare it on my behalf. Name bhakta pranashyati, that my devotee shall never be vanquished." So this is the transcendental promise of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And these divine pastimes, janma karmam cha me divyam evam yo veti tatvatah tyaktva deham punarjanmam neti mameti swarjuna. So Krishna mentions in Bhagavad Gita that one who knows that Krishna's birth and Krishna's appearance and Krishna's activities, karma, may divyam, are transcendental, are divine. Yoja evam yo veti tattvata. One who knows this in truth, tyaktva deham punarjanmam naiti. After giving up this body, such person does not get another material body. Then what happens to such a person? Mam eti so Arjuna. Such a person comes back to me. So this is a transcendental position of hearing the pastimes of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and his pure devotees. Uttama-śloka-līlayā. So we can see Srila Shukadeva Goswami was totally, he did not have to do anything to do with the material world, but he was attracted to hearing about the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So that is the Atma Ramascha Munaya Nigranthapi Urukrame Kurvanti Ahetukim Bhaktim Itham Bhuta Guno Hari. So this is the transcendental position of the divine qualities of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That someone, and this is the actual, so to get totally attracted to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one has to not have these attachment for the material world. If there is attachment for the material world, then to that extent, the attachment to the Supreme Personality of Godhead will not be there. So they are mutually exclusive. So if one is bhoga ishwarya prasaktanam taya pahrita-cetasam vyavasayatmika buddhi samadho na vidyate. So if one is attached to bhoga and aishwarya, what is bhoga? Bhoga is this material sense gratification, and aishwarya is one is trying to accumulate a lot of all this material wealth, and then one is thinking that I am really great. That is aishwarya. So if someone is attached to the material sense gratification and proclaiming that I have all these wonderful luxuries, taya apahrita cetasam. So there, maya pahrita jnana, asurim bhavam ashrita. So that is apahrita cetasa. So the unfortunately their mind and intelligence has been kidnapped by maya pahrita jnana, by the material energy of the Lord. Vyavasayatmika buddhi samadhona vidyate. So for such a person, this vyavasayatmika buddhi, one-pointed attraction to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, unfortunately does not arise. Vyavasayatmika buddhi ekeha kurunandana bahu shakhahi anantascha buddhyo avyavasayina. So Krishna mentions in Bhagavad Gita that this one-pointed loving devotional service to Krishna is ekeha. It is one-pointed. So when there is the love for the Supreme Personality of Godhead, it is one-pointed. There is nothing else in that. There is only love for the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But when there is existence in the material realm, there is bahu shakha. It's innumerable. So that's why the mind will go to one topic, then it will go to another topic, then it will go to a third topic. It will be Shrotavyadini Rajendra Nranam Santi Sahasrasaha. So then one is hearing about thousands and thousands of different things that has no direct relationship with Krishna. Apashyatam atmatattvam graheshu grahamedinam. Why? Because one did not understand one's constitutional position as an eternal part and parcel of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So gṛhīta-cetā rājarṣe ākhyānaṁ yad adhītavān. So here Srila Shukadeva Goswami is saying that, O saintly king, I was certainly situated perfectly in transcendence. Yet I was still attracted by the delineation of the pastimes of the Lord, who is described by enlightened verses. So this is a transcendental position of a pure devotee like Srila Shukadeva Goswami. His mind is Savai Mana Krishna Padara Vindeyo Vachamsi Vaikunta Gunanu Varmane. So his mind is always fixed at the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And Vachamsi Vaikunta Gunanu Varmane. Karo Harer Mandiram Arjunadaishu Shrutim Chakara Chita Satkatodaya. So this is the transcendental position of Srila Shukadeva Goswami. And this very clearly helps us understand the divine position of the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. The Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam Amalam Puranam. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu Matam Idar. So this is mentioned Ramya Kachid Upasana Vrajavadur Ghenava Kalpita. So what way should Krishna be worshipped? As the gopis of Vrindavan worshipped Krishna. And Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam is the transcendental divine literature. Nimna Ganam Yatha Ganga, Devanam Achyutam Yatha, Vaishnavanam Yatha Shambhu, Puranam Idam Tatha. So it is, in terms of the description of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, it is mentioned that just like among the rivers, river Ganga is the most pure. Nimna Ganam Yatha Ganga, Devanam Achyutam Yatha. Among the lords, Achyuta, Krishna, one who never falls down. This is another important part, Achyuta. So this is a transcendental position of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He never falls down. The living entities are susceptible to fall down because of the minute nature of the living entities. But Krishna is Vibhu. He never. So he is Achyuta. Devanam Achyutam Yatha. Vaishnavanam Yatha Shambhu. Among the devotees of the Lord Shiva is the greatest. Puranam Idam Tatha. And among all the Puranas, Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam is Amalam Puranam. And because it is coming from Shukha Mukhad Amrita Drava Samyatam. Pibatam Bhagavatam Rasamamritam Muhuraho Rasika Bhuvi Bhavuka. Nigama Kalpataror Galitam Phalam. Shukha Mukhad Amrita Drava Samyatam. So this Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam is the ripened fruit of Vedic knowledge. And it is said that when the fruit is bitten by the parrot, it becomes even more sweeter. And who is the parrot here? Shuka. Shuka means parrot. Shukadeva Goswami. So this is a ripened fruit of Vedic literature which is coming from the lotus mouth of Shukadeva Goswami, the parrot of Srimati Radharani. Pibatam Bhagavatam Rasamamritam Muhuraho Rasika Bhuvi Bhavuka. So who actually drinks this nectar of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam? One who is Rasika. One who is in that state of total surrender to the Supreme Personality of God. And that it's total surrender, then one can relish the nectar of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. And that is what this verse is beautifully describing. That the divine position of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, which is uttama-śloka. It helps us, one, to transcend the modes of material nature and reach that Vishuddha Sattva, the state of transcendental pure goodness, where one is totally absorbed in the divine pastimes of the Supreme Personality of God, Krishna and his devotees. With that, I would like to conclude this discussion. I see Satish Changirji saying Jai Shri Krishna. Thank you very much, Satish Changirji. Jai Shri Krishna. Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam ki Jai, Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories to Sri Guru and Sri Guranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Namam Vishnu Padaya. Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale. Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine. Nirvishesha Shunyavadi. Paschatya Desha Tarine. Sarvam Shri Krishna Arpanamastu. Krishne Matirastu. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much.